Hi there, you guys. In this video, I'm going to tell you my favorite tunes and other things from March. Here's a tune from Waltz Book 1, and these are copyrighted, so I'm going to just play a portion of it. This tune is called Midwinter Walls. It goes along like that. It's just so beautiful. That tune is by Larry Edelman. Anyway, it's in the Waltz Book 1, and I just love that. One of my students found that in her lesson early in March. Of course, there's going to be something from this book. This has never failed me for years now. I just love this book so much. So this is the Cantigas Renaissance Festival Favorites for all instruments with guitar chords. It's by Robert Bielfield. It's on Melbay's published the book as well. And this month, number 70 came up, and this is called The Mouse Dance. And it's originally from Fredonia. It says it's a Yiddish folk song, so that's pretty cool. It sounds kind of Yiddishy. It sounds Fiddler on the Roof. It goes along. It's so fun. So I love that. Number 70 in the Cantigas book. Another one would be from my teacher, Chris Hay, in his Exploring Country and Bluegrass Fiddle book. I love this book. We've been working on Old Joe Clark, and Old Joe Clark, I might have said it is one of my favorites from last month as well, in February. But we've been working on, or I'm supposed to be working on, improvisation ideas. So anyway, I will just go ahead and play the tune. So in my lessons, I'm supposed to be working on the A major pentatonic scale. I think that's it, but anyway, as you can see, it's not really getting practiced very well, but I'm supposed to be putting in little licks from the A major pentatonic scale here and there, like sprinkling them into the piece. So that's a work in progress. And if I'm ever done with all of my computer stuff, which is never ending, it seems like, then I will finally practice it. On to some viola music. So in our violin viola group class this month. We have 2 every month. So the second one, we were actually exploring what a beret is. And one of the reasons why we were exploring what a beret is because one of my students was playing the berets from Bach's Cello Suite number 4. And it just inspired me to kind of noodle around with it. And so that is what I have been doing. A beret gives a sense of contentment. It's a dance. You cover a lot of space. It's male and female mirroring, and they kind of like will touch palms and kind of rotate around, and it's a very elegant, sweet, light-hearted, light kind of a step. Anyway, so Beret number 1 from Bach Suite 4. The first part of number 1. Here is Beret number 2. So, very, very sweet. That reminds me, I forgot to tell you that this month also, I had 2 people reach out to me about playing professionally, which was just so nice. It was so nice. So the first one was was my accompanist who I've played with for my recital, and who is usually the accompanist for my studio recital. She's an amazing pianist. Like, she's a concert pianist, competition winning pianist. She's amazing. And so when she asked me if I wanted to play on a concert that she was doing, she's playing Chopin's Piano Concerto number 1. I can't remember if it's number 1 or if it's number 2. I think it's number 1. You'd think I would know, but I forgot. Concerto is usually played with an orchestra, but she's not going to hire an orchestra. So she's just doing like a string quartet or quintet version of the Chopin Piano Concerto. And I have been enjoying playing that so much. I've been enjoying playing along with the recording. The idea of being able to play music with another professional musician has just been something that I've really been wanting to do. It's like that idea popped into my head earlier this month, and then my friend was like, hey, do you want to play on a concert with me? And so I'm hoping that if I play well enough, and she also has more concerts in the future, that we can continue to play together. And I mean, she would play for me. You know, I could hire her to play with me, but it would just be fun to actually have a little chamber group that I could say that I'm in. That would be really, really cool. I don't even know if she has time to do something like that, but in my head it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be in like a little piano quintet or piano quartet or whatever. Like, I'll just, it'd just be fun to say like I'm in a band, So that was the first. The second one was a dear colleague from my master's program, and he had asked me if I was interested in actually being part of a quartet that would do gigs and also would be affiliated with a church. And honestly, music and church in my brain have really been clicking. Like, the music and church, they should go together. And how musicians can just really uplift the quality of the service and or degrade the quality of the service as well. We have this wonderful power of musicians, but because I know for myself, I would love to go to a church service where they sang, the Gregorian chants. Like, they actually did the Gregorian chant and did the service that way. Like, that would be amazing. I would just go for that. So anyway, but of course that requires money and practice for the musicians. And it's just, we live in a world that there's just not a lot of people that even go to church, and maybe they don't want to hear the Gregorian chants. They want to hear whatever the poppy music is for church. But anyway, I'm not trying to insult anybody. It's just that I'm kind of pompous, I guess, about music. And I'm maddening to be around. I can't listen to certain music. But anyway, same thing with videos, same thing with movies. Like, when you're a pompous, where's another word that describes people that are like, they're just unfortunately stuck up. They're stuck up. Maybe that's the word. I have a hard time, and I really almost wish, as an aside, that I could just appreciate music and movies and videos, and just, I could just wish that I had no standards in some ways. Like, I could just appreciate it for whatever it is. Like, oh, it's a movie, or like, oh, it's a music. But I actually have high standards for some things, and I just have a hard time appreciating things that are below that, I guess, that are very far below that, I should say, because they actually cause me, they create emotions of rage within me. So anyway, I know there's some of you out there that also share that feeling. Anyway, music and church go together, and unfortunately I wasn't able to join his group because he was living 2 hours away, and that's where the gig would be. We'd have to rehearse there, and that would be a 4-hour trip, back and forth, and I just don't have time to even practice. Like, I'm trying to squeeze in time to actually practice. So anyway, those were kind of some fun little things, but it reminded me of how important and special it is when you are in music school, to just like network with people. Just, networking maybe has a weird fake kind of connotation, but it's like, you want to just be a kind person that people want to be around and that want to work with. And if you are reliable and you show up and you do good and you're kind and you're nice to work with, people will never forget you. People will just never forget you. They'll just call you, years later and be like, hi, do you want to play in a quartet with me? So it's just, it made me feel happy to be remembered, because I've been out of my master's program since 2015, and it's 2024, so it's nearly 10 years now. The last thing I want to show you is this beautiful book. It's called Sacred Melodies for Solo Viola. And I have been really enjoying playing the Ave Maria by Schubert. And I actually, earlier this month, was trying to find a place for my December studio recital. For some reason, it's just been really hard to find a venue to do my studio recital. It's either been extremely expensive, people just not getting back to me, or at the last minute it's like, oh, you also need all this liability insurance too. And it's like, well, there's like 5 people that are coming to do this concert, and I'm a music teacher, and I guess I could get $50,000 of liability insurance. Maybe that's just the world that we live in, but anyway, so I did finally find a venue, and I thought, wow, it would be cool to actually play every once in a while for a church. Once again, music and church, and how that kind of goes together, and how special it would be to be able to perform for an audience at a church and play this sacred music. So this book has inspired that idea in my mind. I haven't quite got it on paper yet. I don't have the performances lined up yet, but they're in the works, and I'm excited about that idea. So anyway, Schubert's Ave Maria, and I always hear Pavarotti's voice singing this one. So beautiful. So anyway, there's been so much that's been going on this month. I know that there's other things that I've forgotten. I've kind of felt like really stressed out this month. I felt so stressed out this month just because I'm overwhelmed by all the things that I just feel like I really wish that I could do. It actually inspired me because I have a treadmill that lives behind my harp. I've got a little separator here, and there's a treadmill and some other things, exercise equipment, and a witch's hat that are living behind this. And so I bought this little thing to put over the treadmill. It's like a desk, $40-50, just sits on the top of the treadmill arms, and I can do all my computer stuff while I'm walking on the treadmill. And that's actually been such a relief for me, because the last thing that I want to do is just sit at my computer. Like, I just can't do that. It makes me feel ill to be sitting all the time. And so I've gotten a lot of exercise this month as well. Like, I've been doing like 15 to 20,000 steps every day, and it's been wonderful. It's just been an amazing gift to give myself this little thing to put over the treadmill, and I just can't remember my life before that. So anyway, I have had to get some little things to put my computer on, because the last thing I want is to be walking on the treadmill like this for hours at a time, but to kind of try to watch my posture. So anyway, I am curious to know, what have you been up to this month? What are you reading? What are some songs that you've enjoyed? Some books, thoughts that popped into your head of things that you want to be doing in life? Did you start studying anything new this month? Do you have an Audible account? Do you like ancient history? Next month in April, I have a guest artist from the University of Arizona. She's going to be actually a professor at the New England Conservatory sooner than later. Dr. Malika Bryan. She's going to be talking to us about memorization. How do you memorize music? And then I think the following month I have a professor from the University of Peking, which is in Beijing. So we have this really special guest artist, and I found him by in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. There's this long article that he wrote on the philosophy of music from antiquity to like the 1800s or something. And, you know, because the ancients, Pythagoras, Plato, Aristotle, they had a philosophy of music. And I have never heard anyone connect those dots before to classical music. In my mind, I have that dot connected. As somebody who studies antiquity and who was interested in philosophy, I just see how the monks who were translating those ancient texts from Greece and Rome, that philosophy, it like was absorbed by their minds, and all of the music that they wrote, like the Gregorian chants, it all came from that philosophy of music. And I just find that so special, and I just don't remember that I've ever, that a in my music history classes, that dot was ever connected. So anyway, it's magical. So in May, I think that's when we have this. And it will probably be the first of a few lectures with him. So that will be really special. This was our first ensemble class this month. We met down at the library just down the street here in Media. They have a beautiful little conference room. It's beautiful and light, and you can see everything. It's on the upper floor. We had our very first in-person ensemble class, and it was just so magical. And incidentally, you can come to all of these things as well. Just follow me on Patreon, and then you'll be in the loop with all of the things. And I would love for you to come out here to Pennsylvania. Come out right outside of Philadelphia. I live in this sweet little town, and you can come to the recital. You can come to our classes, our in-person classes. You can stay right where you are and join on Zoom. But anyway, this month was really special because we finally got together to play music in person. And then we went to have some dim sum afterwards, which was just right across the street. There's all these restaurants on the main street here in Media, and it was just magical. This month we had every month we have a special guest artist come and work with us on Zoom. They're either a professor from a university, or they're a specialist in something, or they might be a performer. All kinds of special guest artists are coming to us every month to kind of do guest lectures and get guest classes. So this month I had an archaeologist named Dr. Robert Steffen. He's a professor of classics and humanities at the University of Arizona. And he was a guest artist last year in 2023. But this year, he came to talk to us about how the ancient people experienced the arts from the time of Alexander the Great, so 300-ish BC, all the way to the fall of Rome, and how people experienced music, dance, art, sculpture, beauty, all of those kinds of things. Even just down to their daily, day-to-day bowl that they would eat out of. The beauty of the skillful artistic way that might have been created. And it was just really fascinating. So there is an archive of all the guest artists on Patreon. You just have to subscribe to either the Take the Cake tier or the Tea Party tier. So anyway, that was very special. I love antiquity. In fact, that's the perfect time to show you the books that I've been reading this month. I just love Cicero. This was fascinating. These are his selected works. In this book, there's a little tiny book at the end, which is called On Old Age. And it's just so sweet. It brings a tear to your eye to read it. Activities for the old, consolations for lost strength, death has no sting, the pleasures of age, the afterlife. I mean, if you've lost somebody, or if you're just feeling like you're going to go into the light soon, this would be a really good book to read. It's called Cicero's Selected Works. And actually, Cicero was very inspiring to the early Christian church fathers, Augustine, for example. And I also enjoyed reading Cicero's selected public political speeches. And this was really, really good. I loved the speech that was, I think it's the first one in here. He's defending a poet, and he talks about the importance of how special books are and literature is, what a consolation they are. And so he was defending this poet. So he brought up this beautiful moment in his speech where he's talking about the importance of having good writers and poets amongst us. I also listened to this book on Audible. This is a little book about Cicero, and it's by Anthony Everett. He wrote one on Alexander the Great and probably some other ones too, but I loved it so much that I just had to buy it because there's all these places that I need to reference and highlight and everything. And actually, incidentally, a lot of these books that I have bought are secondhand books, and they have been scribbled over. And I actually love that because I feel like there's another person who loved the same thing and felt that they needed to underline it or put a star by it. And it's there's this other friend that has read this book too, because all I do all day is just annoy my husband with the Cicero this and Cicero that, and he really couldn't care less. But anyway, he is very kind and he listens to me. I just started to read this. This is Livy's Early History of Rome. This is very good. I've just started this. And this has been a really fun book to read. This is called Power, and it's by the wonderful author Robert Greene. See if you can see that. Robert Greene. Well, I'll take a picture of it. Robert Greene. And he has written some really interesting books. This one is so fun because he every chapter has all these different historical examples of how the 48 laws of power have been used, and he takes one law, and he shows you a good way of it being used and a bad way of it being used, and maybe some little tiny stories in between. historical examples, and it's so fun. This is the book that I will sit down and read while I have a cup of tea in the afternoon, and I haven't had time to have a cup of tea in the afternoon, so I haven't really read I'm only about halfway through it, but I want to get all his other books. In fact, I just realized that I do have another one of his books, The Art of War, which is interesting. So those are some reads. I also love to listen to the great courses on Audible, because I'm in this like ancient history, ancient Rome. I did listen to a really interesting great course on human prehistory, which was really interesting. And one thing that we can learn from prehistory is how we as humans are just all humans. Yes, today we think of ourselves in all these different little groups and all these different little countries and everything, and how different we all are. And but at the end of the day, when we learn from prehistory, we just learn about humanity, and it's so fascinating. So that's where my mind has been. It's been enjoying antiquity and the philosophical thought, and Cicero is like grandfather Cicero to me now. So I just feel just so happy, so happy to have that literary connection with Cicero. What a kind and sweet person he was. He reminds me of John Adams, the American forefather, John Adams. And anyway, at the end of the day, he just wanted to be a farmer and look at his fields and have a peaceful life. But alas, that was a little bit difficult. So let's see what else. I also started to study the harp this month. So I got a harp teacher. I've been following her for years now. Her name is Anne Crosby Gaudet or Gaudet, I'm not quite sure. She is in Canada, and my first lesson with her was just wonderful. I just had such a great time. I learned a little bit about my hand position and trying to angle my hand palm to the opposite knee. I bought some of her books that she's written, which inspired me because I have all this handwritten stuff. I have all this handwritten stuff that I'm always giving to my students. But after my first harp lesson with her, I realized it would be great to just turn that into a book. So that's another reason why I thought, well, I should just buy Sibelius, because it's, I need to actually create a book. I need to be able to write the music correctly and put in bowings and all of those kinds of things. And I need to learn how to use pages so that I can then, write the book. So that's been very inspiring. And I also subscribe to Chris Hayes, the Fiddle Channel. I subscribe to Chris Hayes' Patreon, and I study with him every month and take a little fiddle lesson with him. And this month I was talking to him about that idea of creating ebooks and creating a book, because he's written many books, actual books, and he also does put together a lot of ebooks and PDFs and things, and it's so inspiring to me. And so I was asking him, like, how do you write a book? But I also went to I was able to make it finally to one of his group gatherings, something like I usually host a few times on my Patreon, virtual studio circles, violin group classes, guest artist class, that kind of thing. But I was finally able to get to one of his, and it was like so special for me. It reminded me of the importance of just having a musical bubble, a little music community, and to just have some time with other people that love music, and have the teacher kind of demonstrate things, and have a little bit of time to converse with other people that are also studying music and studying that genre. And it just made my heart so happy. And actually that day I had been so stressed and overwhelmed about all the things that I don't know and all the things that I'm trying to learn, and just not having enough time to do anything. And at the end of the day, how I just want to play my instrument, or I just want to like teach a music lesson. And it was just the tonic that I needed. It was just really special. So and it also reminded me, it helped me to understand some of the things that I would want from a gathering, like a little musical gathering. Of course, it's so nice to have exactly what that was. But in my own virtual studio circles and violin group classes and things like that, it made me kind of think, oh, actually it would be really great to offer a portion of our time, our group time together, to just be like a master class. I invite a guest artist every month to do a master class for us, a lecture or something. And of course, when I'm saying masterclass, that means something to musicians. It means you're going to have a lesson in front of a group of people. I thought, oh my gosh, I should open up some of our violin viola group class evenings to not just teach a class and have some practice time, but actually open up our space together to allow people to play and to get some feedback from the group as well as myself as well. We do have something that's similar. The last Friday of the month, we usually do our virtual studio circle, which is our time to chit chat and kind of share some things, updates about the month, and also have some time to just let people play and maybe get a little bit of feedback. But it's not like a lesson like a master class would be. And so anyway, that kind of sparked the idea, oh, maybe I should offer that as part of maybe a once a month kind of thing that we do in our violin viola group classes. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. It was so fun to sit and talk to you. I just want to make sure that you know how grateful I am to be able to make these videos for you and your patience with the quality of my videos, because sometimes the sound is just bonkers on my videos. I don't know why. I don't know what I've done. And I just appreciate that you still show up, you still listen to my videos, you even subscribe to Patreon, you come to the live classes on Zoom, you come to the in-person ensemble classes, you might come out to the recital in December. It's always the second Saturday of December. It's just so special to have this community, and many of you have been commenting for years and years and years, and now also subscribe on Patreon and support me there. And I just want you to know how special that is. So these are always fun, and thank you so much, and I will see you very soon. Don't forget to comment below and tell me what you've been up to this month.